Okay, so I haven't made a video for a while. This one is mainly about why magicians are not fake and why magic is real. So for instance, has this, if we compared magic, stage magic or street magic or any form of manipulation, mentalism, if we compared this with the movies, so for instance, you don't ever see anyone sitting in the cinema yelling out, "That guy, his name's not John, that's Bruce Willis, this is a hustle, I want my money back." We know the Lord of the Rings don't exist, we know Harry Potter never happened, we know that in action movies the New York City does not get blown up like every year. Avengers, we know these things, gamma ray radiation, that stuff that doesn't make Hulk. We know it'll kill you, but we don't even yell out, "That's corn syrup, that's not real blood," you know. And what happens is that the brain, we decide to put ourselves into denial to experience the reality of the movie because we know damn right that the movie is fake and it's not harmful. So we know that it's entertainment and we know that the movie's been created. This is really weird because the same concept happens with magic. We know that magic's been created. We know that it's not real. We know that it's fake. And therefore, we should push ourselves into denial also to create our own reality of when we're watching, you know, when we're perceiving or observing, should I say. So this is the thing. When you're watching a movie, it's you and the TV or, you know, like the screen. We're not imposed by this because we know that we're not, like, we can control the interaction. And because there's a beginning, middle, and end of the movie, and it's separate from us, separate from our internal reality, this is why we don't feel as imposed. But certain movies we do and certain movies we don't, but preference. But usually, most cases, we don't really feel imposed because we can say yes or no. Now with a magic trick, for instance, we have to interact for the magician per se to manipulate. And we have to also conform with the magician's control. So we have to choose to be controlled and deceived according to the magician's terms and regulations of the performance. And it's very hard to conform and not be deceived and not analyze or observe certain things consciously or subconsciously or deliberate or intentionally or unintentionally or whatever category we can put it in. Because for instance, when you watch something, yeah, and it happens in a second, instantly the brain sort of clicks on, like, what's happening here? What's all this? And when the magician moves like this, it's like, why did he push his thumb down and move his hand over? And then if he grabs like that, the brain instantly, it sort of regulates itself. So in a way, humans aren't stupid. So magicians usually create their own hecklers, but you know, if we naturally do it like this with magic, why do we not naturally do it with movies? And the thing is with, like, even though we do, like, we know there's background music and there's choreography created in the movie, but when we're interacting in our day-to-day lives, you know, for instance, if I'm talking to you, you're talking to me on a street atmosphere, we look around and we observe things for safety. So then again, even if we did give some human that much control, then they can do other things. Or should I say, not just the magician performing, but other people can do other things to the person observing or the magician performing, you know, so it makes us vulnerable. So we don't analyze because we don't believe in magic or we don't know what it is. We analyze for safety, for like a defense mechanism. The hand's not quicker than the eye. If the hand was quicker than the eye, we wouldn't be able to practice magic as a magician. And there would be no perspective of magic, there'd be no method, and then the observer would never be able to figure it out because there'd be no polarity of the move, you know, there'd be no catching us out, because even if the magician performed really slowly, he would still perform too quick. And I think the point of magic is not sleight of hand, because the hand is actually quicker than the mind. So the hand's quicker than the mind, yep, not quicker than the eye. if it was quicker than the eye, then it doesn't matter how much you knew the method, it would still trick you and you would still be deceived by the exact same per se method. But in this case, it's like once you know how the trick's done, you can't unknow what you know, and then the trick doesn't work as well. So we definitely know 100% that the method of the magician has to deceive, or has to be deceptive in such a way that the observer is unknowing of the knowledge that the magician's using. Once the observer knows the knowledge that the magician uses, then it's almost like even fair, and then the magician has to up his game. So for instance, if a magician is a nice person and wants to perform magic to love others and to bring joy, then public and the audience, most people, are forcing the magician to change his intentions to become a malicious character and become more self-centered and egotistical just to perform for the audience. And this is the weirdest part about this, because to be honest, right, if the magician does pull this off, then he's going to feel like remorse or regret. He's going to feel bad. There's two pathways he can do this. If he's kind and he's nice, yeah, and the audience is observing what he's doing, then if he ever flashes, he's not good enough. If he sticks to the regular classic routine of any other magician, and someone does that and he's, you know what, I have to be more deceptive. So he becomes more deceptive, you know, to please his audience. Then he is accused of being deceptive and a hustler. So it's really hard for magicians to make money in that content, because it's like, well, if the magician is creates something that can't be figured out, then he is feared or judged or criticized of cheating or having some sort of other influence. And if he does not create a trick that's, you know, flawless, should I say, then he's criticized and judged for not being good enough or not being clean enough. If he uses a duplicate to create a good illusion, then he's accused of cheating. But if he doesn't use a duplicate, then he's accused of being like sly, and because he has to use misdirection to create the same illusion, if that makes sense. Yes. Now in a movie, they got camera takes. So you never see professional magicians like Dynamo per se, or Chris Angel like approach someone and say, hey, do you want to see a trick? And this person tells them to go away. Like, nah, off, you know. You never see a professional magician accidentally drop cards and pick them up and keep shuffling them on a TV show, because when that happens, it's like cut, yeah? And then they replay and then action. All the best reactions are always recorded. So then when people see the magicians from there and then they see a real life magician, it doesn't really sit well. So magic is the borderline between perception and interpretation. And in between perception and interpretation is actually manifestation. As we manifest things, as you know, we look around and observe, yeah? So if you interpret your perception, you can alter that however you want. And you can do that until you get old and die. But if you perceive your interpretation, you're only really perceiving it as far as your perception can comprehend, yeah? And comprehension is attached to knowledge, and knowledge is attached to the worldly things around us, like beliefs and cultures and other structures and systems. So if we can change our interpretation, then we can start to realize that maybe magic is sitting in between interpretation and perception, and that means magic is a choice of preference of person. So it is what you say it is. Magic simultaneously exists and does not, but magic is what you say it is, and magic is what I say. Everyone, like the best example, last one, is that 5 people can be watching one trick and see 5 different aspects and 5 different realities of that trick, and see 5 different things depending on their brain and how they function. So magic is whatever. It's never been proven to not exist. And if it does not exist, how do we prove thousands of very successful careers all over the world? So I'll leave that to you, and perceive the reality how you choose. But remember, if you interpret, that is unlimited. If you perceive, it is limited to whatever you know so far. And if you can interpret things, maybe you might know a little bit more. So magic is you and I. Hope you liked the video.